My name is Lisa. I'm sitting in my living room, the air thick with tension. My son, Ethan, sits hunched on the sofa, his face pale and full of shock. Beside him, his wife, Ava, stands rigid, her eyes flashing with irritation. Across from them, Cole, an attorney, and Daniel, a man with a heavy story, sit calmly but with a sense of purpose. I take a deep breath and start. I know you went to an attorney, Ava. I know what you told him about me, and I know you've done something similar before. Ethan frowns. Mom, what are you talking about? She was looking out for you. Cole opens his briefcase and sets several papers on the coffee table. Your wife visited my office, he says steadily. She described your mother as confused, forgetful, and unsafe alone. She asked what it would take to gain authority over her decisions. She discussed this property's value repeatedly. Ava lets out a thin laugh. That's not how any of that went. I asked general questions. Older people declined fast. I was trying to be responsible. Daniel leans forward. That's exactly what you said about my father. Ethan turns, startled. Who are you? Daniel introduces himself and then tells his story, quietly and painfully. His father, a hard-working carpenter, had lived in an old house after his mother passed away. Ava, a real estate agent, had come into his life, offering help with bills, sorting mail, and driving him to appointments. At first, Daniel thought his father had found a kind helper. But then, Ava talked his father into signing documents, saying it was for his protection. Before Daniel realized what was happening, Ava had power of attorney. She sold his father's house, got her commission, and disappeared. His father died alone in an assisted living facility. Daniel slides a copy of the signature page across the table. Ava's name sits sharp and bold at the top. Ethan pales. Ava, tell me that's not real. She lifts her chin. His father was behind on payments. I gave him options. People sign things they don't understand all the time. That's not what these records show, Cole says. I place my doctor's letter on the table. I'm fully capable, and the house is now in a trust one control. You won't be getting it. The mask finally cracks. So, you'd rather rot in this place alone? Ava snaps. Then help your son get ahead? Some mother. Ethan flinches. Ava, what does that mean? She whips toward him. Oh, please, where would you be without me? Renting a basement, buried in debt? I fixed your life. I made you worth something. A silence falls heavy as stone. Something inside me settles. Certainty, not anger. Cole presses a small recorder on the table. Your statements confirm financial motive. If you contact or pressure Ms. Lisa again, I'll deliver all of this to the district attorney. Ava looks around at Ethan's devastated face, Daniel's steady fury, the documents stacked like proof of her pattern. No one is with her now. You all deserve each other, she snaps, grabbing her bag and storming out. The door slams hard enough to rattle a picture frame. Ethan bends forward, hands over his eyes. I didn't know. Mom, I swear I didn't know. I sit beside him. Now you do. His voice breaks. I'm so sorry. I rest my hand on his back. We're going to be okay. For the first time in months, I feel safe in my own home again. But how did we get here? I remember when I first bought this house. I was a young woman, fresh out of a factory job. I was tired of living in cramped apartments, always at the mercy of landlords. I walked into the real estate office, determined to find a home of my own. The agent showed me this old house. It was a bit run down, but I saw potential. I scrimped and saved every penny, working long hours at the factory. Finally, I was able to put down a down payment. My husband, Tom, was so proud. He was a gentleman, a schoolteacher. He used to say, "This house is going to be our little paradise." We spent weekends fixing it up, painting the walls, and planting a garden. Ethan was just a little boy then. He would run around the yard, laughing and playing. As the years passed, Tom started to have health problems. He would forget things, lose his balance. The doctors said it was a progressive condition, and there wasn't much they could do. The house that was once filled with laughter became quiet. Ethan, who had grown up and moved to the city for a job, started to visit less and less. Then, Ethan brought Ava into our lives. She was beautiful, with a smooth voice and a confident smile. But there was something about her eyes. They seemed to look right through me to the house. "Such a charming place," she said as she walked through the living room. "Great bones. A little dated, but with some updates, you could really unlock this property's potential. You're sitting on a lot of value, Lisa." Tom wasn't convinced. After they left, he sat at the kitchen table and rubbed his chest. "She looks at this house like it's a prize," he said. "You be careful." I smiled and told him he was being paranoid, but deep down, his words bothered me. As Tom's condition worsened, I found myself struggling to take care of him and the house. I called Ethan, but he was always busy with work. Ava would send texts saying they were swamped, but she'd make sure Ethan called when he could. He rarely did. When Tom passed away, I was left alone in this big house. The silence was deafening. His coffee mug was still on the counter, and his jacket hung on the hook by the door. I felt lost. Then, one night, Ava came over. She walked around my kitchen like an inspector, opening cabinets, tugging drawers, and sighing loudly. Ethan stood by the fridge, his hands jammed into his pockets, looking at the floor. "There's grease all over this stove," Ava said. She plucked a jar from the pantry and squinted at the label. "And this is expired, Lisa. This isn't safe." I was angry. I've been taking care of this house for years. I know the difference between messy and dangerous. Ava set the jar down with a sharp clang. "You're alone now. You forget little things. You leave lights on. Ethan and I are worried about you. From now on, I'll be teaching you how to take care of this place properly." I was shocked. "This is the house I paid for with my blood and sweat. You don't get to come in here and tell me how to live." Ava's smile fell away. "You're being unreasonable, Ethan. Say something." Ethan shifted his weight. "Maybe just hear her out, Mom. Ava knows about houses. She's thinking long-term." That night, I lay on the sofa, thinking about Ava's words and Ethan's reaction. I started to wonder if they were more interested in the house than in me. A few days later, the phone rang. It was Cole, an attorney. He said he'd spoken to Ava and that she was worried about me living alone. She'd asked what it would take to make decisions on my behalf. I was stunned. I met with Cole at his office. He asked me a series of questions about my life, my finances, and my daily routine. I answered them all easily. He said he could tell I was fully capable of taking care of myself, but that Ava's actions raised red flags. He advised me to get a letter from my doctor confirming my mental capacity and to put the house into a living trust. A week later, Cole called me again and asked me to come to his office. When I arrived, I met Daniel. He told me his story, and I felt sick to my stomach. I knew then that I had to protect myself. So, here we are, in my living room, facing the truth. I'm glad I didn't let Ava's schemes go unnoticed. I'm determined to keep my home and my dignity. And I hope that Ethan will learn from this and see the real Ava for who she is.